cartoon author tonight. I just finished the creative writing program at ACC, and if you're wanting to take creative writing classes, or if you want your associates in creative writing, it is an excellent place to pursue that at. Tony and I were in a class with Charlotte Gulick, who is just amazing. That's all I can say about her right now. And besides Charlotte, Tony was among my favorite people in the class. He was sort of like the surly, lurking one in the corner that cracked jokes and wasn't afraid to gossip about our other classmates when they weren't listening, and I really appreciate that.
It's not true.
I really appreciate Tony and everything that he brought to the class and everything that he brings to the page, and I'm excited for you to be able to experience that tonight. He's going to be reading from a larger piece of fiction that was realized in this class called Voodoo, correct?
Yes.
Yes. And if you didn't catch it online, I'll read you his bio so you have a little bit of background. Tony Cartlidge is a former marketing and communications writer from Liverpool, England, who is currently living in exile in Central Texas. At the age of 40, Tony realized he'd become only intermittently employable and returned to school, where he turned his attention to creative fiction. Having shown some talent while writing local news stories and corporate press releases, he approaches the art with the verve and elan of a rat at a cheese typewriter. He hopes one day to fool a publisher, which he will, and to pick up one of his crumbs. Tony shares his round-rock home with 5 fish, 3 dogs, and 1 wife. And with that, please help me welcome Tony Cartlidge.
So this isn't something that I do, so I apologize for these stumbles. It is now. I guess one of the things that I was asked to do was maybe talk a little bit about the piece that I'm going to do. It's a novel that's coming together very, very quickly. And when AR asked me to come read from it, I was a little bit, surprised. But then I was thinking about the craft of it, and I realized that I write very quick scenes. None of my scenes are more than 9 minutes long, which I guess is appropriate to today's shrinking attention spans, but not appropriate when you ask to come and read for 15 minutes. So thankfully, my wife helped me with a solution. She helped me stitch together 2 scenes, which introduces our 3 main characters. The first is Archie, who is a reluctant heir to a village estate. This village is set somewhere in my mind, but it always ends up in England. There is Leela, his erstwhile girlfriend, who's buggered off and left him. And she is on her way back because her father, Scotcher, who is Archie's former tutor, has discovered something rather disturbing about the village of Egghole where Archie lives. So I will launch right in. Archie woke to the sound of birds singing in the sky blue sky, refreshed, relaxed, and ready to take on the world. He stretched both arms above his head and sat up. The white cotton duvet fell down about his naked waist. A quick peek confirmed a distinct lack of clothing below the waist also. He was in Zuli's room, but Zuli wasn't there. She'd left a tray of orange juice, croissants, and a pot of coffee on the side table. A folded note card was propped between the sugar bowl and the cream jug. Archie, I do hope you feel better today. Please eat some breakfast. You've slept a long time. There are clean clothes for you on the dresser. Sorry, I couldn't find a kilt. Zuli, X. Zuli X. Archie wondered if she was related to Malcolm. He let the thought drop as he slid his skinny legs out the side of the bed and busied himself about the breakfast tray. The coffee was heavily laced with chicory, which reminded him of his father, Gormster blend, he called it, brought back by his great-great-great something, who was with Clive in India. That'll keep your insides ticking over, he'd said as baby Archie sucked a bittersweet foam from his sippy cup. It might have kept Gormster's insides ticking over for generations, but it hadn't do anything to foil the curse of an early grave. He inhaled a croissant, nibbled on another, washing it down with a bittersweet cup of coffee. He normally took cream, but felt sick when he picked up the jug and looked at the milky liquid. He stood and then sat down quickly again. His head swam, his legs felt like rubber. He took another sip of orange juice and bit into another croissant. Why was he so hungry? Wrapping the duvet around him, he stood unsteadily again and staggered to the dresser. Zuli had left him blue jeans, a grey t-shirt, black Calvin Klein undies that made him wish for six-pack abs, and a pair of plain, ordinary, everyday woolly black socks. He hugged them, feeling the softness on his face, smelling the perfume of the fabric softener. Where does a voodoo goddess shop for detergent? Probably the sirens do the shopping, he thought, or Jab with the milky eye. Oh shit. The eyes, the egg, Zuli, the universe. Images came flooding back to him. A wave of nausea cascaded over him and crashed into the pit of his stomach, churning up breakfast. He sat quickly and used both hands in an attempt to steady his head. The egg, he could see the egg shimmering and vibrating in its cradle on the stage. His fingers twitched and his heart hammered. He lay back and watched the room spin, closed his eyes, and still span. He waited until it stopped before he sat back up again and started to drag on the clothes. I gotta find Kev. As he pulled the t-shirt over his head, he closed his eyes and the image of the egg came back, but this time it was in a car, in the engine bay, revving, thrumming. His mind was racing. He pressed the heels of his hands to his eyes until he saw stars. When he removed them, he could still see twinkling lights, but these ones sparkled in a dark sky, hanging over a ruined Mount Hen, decapitated, disembodied, de-egged. Nothing but an empty nest. Below it, egg hole was leveled, devastated. It resembled a lunar landscape, raked by frigid winds, stretching far beyond the horizon. The back of his neck prickled. This was not some fanciful imagining. This was a vision of what had come, of what will come, unless he stopped it. The truth came fizzing to the surface, and he knew, he'd always known, only he could stop it. He just didn't know how. If only Scotcher were there, and Leela. He let out a moan as his chest tightened. He felt like he'd been punched in the heart. It's all very simple, began Scotcher, adjusting his jacket over a string vest as he settled into the orange motel room armchair. Leela rolled her eyes in preparation. In her experience, when her father began an explanation with "it's all very simple," what followed was unlikely to be simple, or all, and not very much of either. Scotcher cleared his throat, unaware of Leela's ocular acrobatics. "It's like this," he began, holding an invisible globe with his hands. "Think of the smallest thing imaginable, like an atom, and then think smaller. Subatomic particles like neutrons and electrons are whizzing about at enormous speeds, bonding and breaking bonds, speeding up and slowing down, vibrating through a range of frequencies. Now think smaller." The globe became two fists, and Scotcher, his eyes focused on some invisible locus, began to wave them about. And think about what happens when these subatomic particles collide, change speed and direction. The fists collided and Scotcher moved them apart wider and wider. If we had a microscope powerful enough, at the core of every minute particle in the universe, you'd see a tiny string, like a subatomic rubber band vibrating its little heart out. Muons, neutrinos, taus, mesons, bosons, baryons, all moving and changing places and states depending on how quickly they vibrate. There are thousands of them, photons, kaons, charmed, strange, subquarkian particles. Scotcher stood, his fists held far apart, his eyes unfocused. With the filthy vest, the unkempt hair, and loose blue suit, he looked like a crucified tramp. "Strange indeed," said Leela, but Scotcher carried on. "But to see this happening, you'd have to witness 9 or 10 different dimensions in hyperspace. Most people can't even think in 10 dimensions. He wiggled his fingers as though trilling the high notes of a piano. Michio Kaku, though I think he's a crackpot, is probably the closest to the truth. He says that the universe comprises nothing but musical notes, representing different subatomic particles. Physics, he says, is nothing but the laws of harmony. Chemistry, a melody being played upon these superstrings. The universe is a 10-dimensional string symphony, and every part of everything in it is playing in tune. This is a superstring band playing the music of the universe." He paused, relaxed, and looked directly at Leela. "This is the closest candidate we have for the mind of God. Einstein wrote about it for 30 years. The mind of God is nothing more than cosmic music resonating through many-dimensional hyperspace. Simple. Leela breathed in deeply, rolled her eyes once more. Okay, so let's say the universe is made of string, superstring. Okay, so if we can agree that the universe is made of superstring and that everything in it is nothing but a representation of how it vibrates, what's this got to do with that nasty vest that you're wearing, that filthy, disgusting, rotten No. The significance of the new model of the universe dawned upon her. You're not saying what I think you're saying, are you? See, Scotcher grinned, told you it was simple. Your vest is picking up the vibrations of the universe. Scotcher nodded. Which means you won't be changing it anytime soon, will you, right? Scotcher bowed his head, his arms held wide, closed his eyes and whispered, yes. He collapsed back into the chair, his triumph final and complete. Leela paced back and forth in front of the window, which was difficult considering the size of the room, and the length of her legs allowed only 2.5 strides before she had to turn and come back again. At first she took 2 steps, and a third half step, hopping around on one foot to begin the other direction. She tried 3 smaller steps, but mincing was not conducive to demonstrating the depth of her disconcert or the dis of her combobulation. She tried 2 larger steps, but she was stretching and feared pulling a hamstring. Sit down, Leela, you're making me dizzy. You should be used to that, she said, stopping mid-lurch. I've been sober for a month. I thought it would affect the performance of the machine, but once I recalibrated, I think it's even more sensitive, more precise. Recalibrated how exactly? Her eyes arched impossibly. Curry and lager. No, she said. No, this is ridiculous. You are not recalibrating your vest by dribbling your dinner on it. Leela, it's the only way to do it. I've spent 20 years trying to understand this. I thought it was hopeless until it started to vibrate. Vibrate? It's absolutely humming. Are you sure it's not the flies buzzing? Scotcher tried to look as sane as possible, which given the circumstances proved to be the worst thing he could do. And you're saying that you can read the mind of God using your string vest? Is that it? Do you really honestly think of that? Because if you do, you're in danger. To yourself and everyone else. You've lost it, flipped, gone round the bend. You're looking at me, but all you're seeing is reruns of Looney Tunes. Leela was shouting, panic in a voice emotional, on the verge of hysteria. I came here with you because you said it was important, and now you're telling me you're loopy-loo? Ah! Scotcher got up and tried to place an arm around her, tried to comfort her, but she shrugged him off, not least because of the smell. Leela dear, please calm down. Somebody thumped on the wall from the room next door. There was a muffled yell. Finally, Leela relented and allowed Scotcher to circle his arms around her shoulders from behind so the smell wasn't so bad. Leela, I don't hear the voice of God. I can't detect 11 dimensions, and I've not lost my mind. Hush now, hush. Leela was sobbing quietly in his arms. I know this is hard for you. It would be hard for anyone, but it doesn't mean it's not true. The vest, yes, I am afraid to take it off because it's picking up vibrations. It's made of aluminium thread and a cotton blend, but it's the aluminium thread that's important here. It's an element that existed, I believe, at the beginning of time when the universe was expanding faster than the speed of light. It's so rare and it's so precious that it's been kept secret for thousands of years. Aluminium. She broke free of his arms. It's true, and it's a secret that we have to guard with our lives. It's only found in one place on Earth, as far as I know. Where? He looked at her, gauging how to speak. Where? Mount Hen. There's a large deposit under Mount Hen. That's why the town's called Egghole, huh? Leela's voice was regraining that angry tone. And what's so special about Egghole and albu-fucking-minium then? Honey, Scotcher said, now don't be getting upset again. I'm trying to explain to you. Aluminium, I believe, was formed in the millions, no trillions of, what's less than a trillion? Leela mouthed the traditional whatever, accompanied by rolling eyes and flabby hands, but he charged on. No matter, it was squazillions of a second after the Big Bang. It was right at the center of the exploding universe. From nothing came something, and aluminium was there at the core, expanding through everything, connected to everything. Its simple harmonics applied to the fundamental principles of quantum inseparability, entanglement. What was once connected is always connected. And with something as elemental as aluminium, if it vibrates anywhere, it vibrates everywhere, and at the same frequency. And that means that when I feel the vest vibrating something, somewhere is changing its state, changing its frequency. Somehow, something has harnessed the power to change the smallest subatomic makeup of the universe. Leela's eyes grew wide. Her face went white. You sure about this? Sure as I can be, as anyone can be. So now you've sobered up and thrown enough Lambertiani and Goat Balti at it to recalibrate the damn thing. And lager, he added. You need lager. Don't mind if I do, he said and laughed. Leela froze him with a look. So can this vest tell you where the vibrations are coming from? He nodded slowly once more. Where? She slumped in the chair, dust flying from its mustard upholstery. Where? Egghole. The source of the vibrations in Egghole. The cheap Hockney-esque print on the wall vibrated in harmony with the pounding from the room next door, and with Leela's screaming. Mostly with Leela's screaming. Thank you.